What's good, people? Samurai Lee here, back for another fight talk with CombatDocket.com. Let's start with the Leeds Rumble. It was a really good show. You know, there was lots and lots of fights. Some of them didn't even make the television. There was lots of fights that you may or may not have seen. Gamal Yafai and Josh Wells in a great 12-round fight. You know, really tough guy, Josh Wells. I think a lot of people, including myself, expected Gamal Yafai to blow him away. And he proved how durable and how tough he was, and he stayed in there. It was a convincing victory for Yafai in the end, but Josh Wells done well. Sam Eggington, first round KO. You know, he's a really good fighter. I really like Sam Eggington, and potentially setting up a big fight now with Frankie Gavin, who also won on the card. He got a late stoppage, although it was a bit of a contentious stoppage. He won the fight convincingly, no doubt, but there was only 30 seconds left in the fight. The ref could have let it go on a little while. But you know, Frankie Gavin back to winning ways after being out for a long time since he lost to Kell Brook for the world title. So there's some good fights coming up for those two as well. Ryan Burnett won a very good decision. He looks like a real guy, a real good prospect. Ryan Burnett is 24, 25 now. He's under Adam Booth. I think he'll go a long way in the game, and I can't wait to see him again. Moving up the card, my fight of the night, my favourite fight, was Tommy Coyle challenging Tyrone Nurse for his British title. I thought it was an excellent fight. It was a 12-round war. Tommy Coyle wore the fight on his face. His eye exploded up. You know, it was a close decision in many ways. A lot of people scored the fight to Tommy Coyle. I scored it to Tyrone Nurse. I also believed before the fight he'd win the way he did. He'd get a late stoppage or win on points, as he did. Some of the judging and some of the scorecards, they were close. They were close scorecards, but it was a very big clash of styles. Tyrone Nurse is a slickster. He uses his shoulders, his elbows, he rolls a lot. The problem is he gets caught. You know, I don't think he ever looked in any danger, but I'd imagine Tommy Coyle probably landed more punches than Nurse, but the better work for me came from Tyrone Nurse. He's a very good, as I say, he's slick, he moves a lot, he rolls, but he's just got to work on his footwork, because he was dropped with a jab in the 7th round that, you know, it shouldn't be happening. He was square on, he got caught, and he just, you know, he didn't lose the round because he won the round quite convincingly after that, so it didn't really cost him in the long run, which is lucky. But it could have cost him. You know, he has to work on that footwork and stop crossing those feet or being planted on his heels, because you should not be getting dropped by a jab. Having said that, I think he boxed really well at times, and I think he deservingly retained his British title. Luke Campbell, Argenis Mendes, a great fight. Mendes dropped Campbell early on in the fight, so Campbell didn't have it all his own way at all. But I think his superior hand speed, he's got very good footwork. He's technically very good, Luke Campbell, and he won the rounds. He won the majority of the rounds, I should say, and I think he deservingly got the win, and he's going to now move on to bigger things. Dave Allen and Dillian Whyte, I really enjoyed this fight. It was a 10-round. You know, a lot of people expected Dave Allen to get blown away early. I wasn't sure about that. I didn't see that coming. Dave Allen is tough, but I didn't realise just how tough he is. He stuck around with Dillian Whyte, and he never looked. Although Dillian Whyte won most of the rounds, some of the scoring were a bit wide for my liking. But I'm not saying Dillian Whyte didn't get the job done. He did. I think Dillian Whyte boxed, which we don't often see him do. He threw very few wild shots, especially compared to his comeback fight at the O2 in June. So he boxed, and he proved his boxing ability a lot more than we expected him to. We expected him to try and blow Dave Allen away. But I think he realised himself Dave Allen was a lot tougher than people gave him credit for. He's got a granite chin. He'll come at you all day long. It's a learning fight for Dave Allen. Was it too soon? Yeah, probably. But the fight was there. He took it. You know, he put his balls on the table. He took the fight. He lost to the better man, I believe, on the night, but he's done himself a lot of credit, and it's a big learning fight for Dave Allen. He'll come back, and I'm sure he'll be British champion in the future. You know, I think he'll keep coming. He'll go and have a few learning fights. He's back first week of September. And he'll learn from that. He'll learn from that. A bit more experience. You know, he could have put it on Dillian a little bit later. a little bit earlier than he did. Sorry, he could have pushed the pace a little bit more, but that's experience, and you know, he'll learn from that and he'll come back. And I thought it was a really good fight, a good performance from both fighters, but Dillian Whyte deservedly got the victory on the scorecards. The main event on the night, Josh Warrington against Paddy Highland. That fight for me really opened my eyes to how good Josh Warrington is. I knew he'd win the fight, I didn't doubt that. I thought he'd go to the judges because he's never really someone who knocks his opponent or finishes his opponents. On Saturday night, his punch accuracy was scary. I was sitting ringside and everything he threw was landed. He's technically amazing. His hand speed, his footwork, the punch variety he displays is amazing. I really like Josh Warrington, and I believe that was the turning point, especially from my side, because Highland's a tough guy. So me personally, it opened my eyes up to how good Josh Warrington is. You know, there's now no other option for me but to put him in for a world title. When that will happen, you know, I'm sure Eddie Hearn will get it later in the year. Against who, I'm not sure, but there's going to be some big fights and Josh Warrington will be a world champion. Across the pond, Brooklyn, Saturday night, Mikey Garcia made his return after 2.5 years out. I thought he boxed tremendous. You know, he was in with a really awkward guy, and so for the first 2 rounds, I think that showed. He was finding his feet back in the ring, and he was with a guy that was really awkward. He was, you know, he's one of these typical South American guys for me, Rojas. He's awkward. He's a guy that's gonna make it tough for you to box and to look good. And he did, because Mikey for a couple of rounds was, as I say, was finding his feet and trying to establish his range and the jab, and he was throwing overhand rights a lot, trying for a big knockout. But when he put his shots together in the third round, he dropped him with a beautiful left hook, and that was kind of the beginning of the end. You know, it went on to the mid-5th, I believe. Some strange knockdowns from Rojas, but I just think he couldn't stand up to Mikey Garcia's power. I can't wait to see Mikey back in there, and hopefully he'll travel over here to the UK and get a world title fight with Terry Flanagan early next year. That's a fight I really want to see, and I think Garcia wants it. The main event on that card was Britain's Belfast's favourite son, Carl Frampton, challenging Leo Santa Cruz up at featherweight for his title, and it was a great fight. The judges gave a majority decision victory for Carl Frampton to be the new champion. 2 of the judges scored it quite wide, and 1 obviously a draw. I had Frampton win the fight 7 rounds to 5. Great fight, you know. He pushed the pace. His jab was better than I thought it would be against Santa Cruz. Seeing as Santa Cruz had such a big height and reach advantage, but Carl Frampton, I think he's getting better and better. This year, he's unified the super bantamweight division against Scott Quigg, his rival that everyone's been telling him to fight for years. He did so and beat him. He's now gone over to America, stepped up a weight, and beaten an unbeaten fighter in Leo Santa Cruz. Nothing but respect for Carl Frampton. I hope we get to see him defend his title, possibly a unification fight against Lee Selby. Who knows what he's going to do. He may ask Santa Cruz to come back here for a rematch, but there's a lot of options now for Carl Frampton. I think the world woke up to how good Carl Frampton was Saturday night, and he deserves all the praise and respect he's getting, because he was phenomenal. Thanks a lot for watching, guys. Be sure to hit the like and subscribe buttons. This week I'm asking for a little help from you, my subscribers and my Twitter followers, to get involved. Give me your opinions on what you want me to talk about next week. As I say, we're at the end of the boxing season. No big fights now till the first week of September. So let's mix it up a bit. Let's talk about some fantasy fights, or fights I want to see in the 12 months, or my favourite fighters. Whatever you guys want to see me talk about next week on Combat Docket, let me know.